through a screen of that they would be transformative, that they would actually, if implemented, when implemented, they would transform the organization as well as the relationship the organization has with its partners and with the American people as well. We also, to be green, we didn't print very many of these. It's online, it is on the web. One, to make a statement, but two, to keep it flexible. You know, we're not saying this thing is carved in stone. We are going to re-evaluate it on an annual basis because, you know, we've got 5 years. Some of these things may fall flat. Some of them may exceed expectations way beyond our hopes. So we want to build in that kind of flexibility. Maybe we missed some things. I'm sure Tom's got a long list of things he takes for this. So we want to add to this as we go along to ensure that we are meeting our overall goals. So we built in a lot of flexibility into this. And then we have, again, a couple other differences I want to make about this and the past plans is that we're sort of embedding it, we're socializing it within the organization. It was written, and probably much to the concerns of some of you, it was kind of written internally. That we didn't go out and have another big round of large public meetings, but we've kind of done that. You know, we did 51 listening sessions around the country under America's Great Outdoors, and we took 100,000 comments. And, you know, the America's Great Outdoors report, while it's a decent report, a lot of the Park Service stuff didn't get in here. You know, I would write it in and the Forest Service would edit it out. And that would go, we went back and forth on that for about 3 months. And I finally, you know, threw in the towel and just said, okay, fine, we'll write our own report. And so we took those thousands of comments, many of them, most of them positive about the National Park Service, that came in for this report, and we used them to help design our action list in the call to action. So in many ways, we did draw from the public in this process. We built a team in Washington that was cross-sectional, diagonal through the organization, and we had a multi-layers of teams out into the field to really ensure that this was something that the field would buy into. I mean, we have a large, diverse, diffuse, decentralized Park Service. And in order for this to really be embraced and adopted, the field has to buy into it and say, I agree with that, I'm willing to do that, I'm willing to apply my resources to that. Park Service never operates from the top down, it really operates from the bottom up. And so we again chose 36 actions that we felt that the field could find themselves and be comfortable about. When I say the field, I don't just mean the 396 units of the National Park System, but also RTCA, the National Register Program, the Tax Act folks, all of those as well. I want to also say this is not the only thing we're doing. We got a lot of other things going on in the service that complement this, but aren't necessarily directly tied to this. And for instance, one of my priorities is to get us back on the international stage. The Park Service has basically been absent. This isn't a particular call out here because it's sort of a different field, but you know, I created a position at the IUCN. I have a full-time National Park Service employee working with the IUCN right now, working directly to elevate the role world parks play in issues such as climate change. We're back on the stage in World Heritage, except now that they're pulling all the money out of that field. Well, that'll be a different story. But anyway, we're back preparing nominations for the World Heritage Committee. I'm now chairing the North American Wilderness Committee, which is Mexico and Canada, look at cross-border protection. We've got the Secretary and the Secretary of the Environment in Mexico. We're down in Big Bend announcing the reopening of the crossing at Boquillas. So we've got a lot going on the world stage. We just signed an agreement with Europarks to assist all the parks in Europe. So that's going on. The National Park System Advisory Board, I want to just mention that very briefly, that We brought on 8 of the former Second Century Commissioners to just carry forward on the Second Century Commission recommendations, and they are doing fantastic work. We've got a science committee working on rewriting the Leopold Report, led by Tom Lovejoy, and we have 2 Nobel laureates and 1 person that just won the President's Gold Medal for Science. We've got an education committee under Milton Chen and Julia Washburn that are just rocking and rolling in the field of education. We're working directly with the Department of Education and have great support there. We have a team working on relevancy, and there's a whole series of communications and going out and listening directly into communities of color about how we can become more relevant. We have our initiatives around the American Latino heritage, and we will be nominating probably at least 4 and this round, and probably another 6 or so designations under the National Historic Landmarks Program that recognize the contributions of Latinos to the American heritage. We have a team working on organizational excellence to help us in terms of our overall training and development programs, work life, all of those things in the organization. So there's a lot going on that is sort of supportive of this and parallel to this. We have legislation. We've got a legislative package that we've been working the Hill pretty hard on, and hope, Congress is having a hard time passing anything. We're trying to give them something that would be positive on both sides of the aisle. It has a number of the programmatic things in it that were called for in the Second Century Commission, such as the authority to write a new National Park System plan, new areas, kind of fix the cooperative agreement issue one more time. Give us an education mission, give us an international mission as well. And we are working on both sides of the aisle on that. I have the direct support of the Secretary on that, and we are hopefully get something through the Congress in this next 12 months or so. And then we have the whole America's Great Outdoors side. And as you've been following the press, we've been rolling out basically a state or 2 or 3 states a day with the 2 top projects. So after going out and listening to the governors, and I met with 9 governors, I think, in the last 6 months directly to talk about America's Great Outdoors, and then let's get them to give us their projects. So we've got 100 projects that are coming out of the America's Great Outdoors. 57 of those are National Park Service led for the entire Department of Interior, Department of Agriculture, EPA, and Corps of Engineers. We have over half. In part, that is because of the great work of our urban parks, our RTCA folks, our landwater conservation folks in the state side, our work on rivers, our work on long-distance trails. There's a great appetite out there and support for these kinds of projects. And we are, we're not running these in 2 parallel efforts. We really see a linkage between the call to action and these specific projects that we'll be working on over the next few years. And the Secretary is absolutely driving this, actually driving us crazy over this, over the, like every couple of days we have a new meeting about it. So my point is that, the call to action plan is certainly not perfect. It is an attempt to lay out a roadmap, a set of actions that we can all find ourselves in, we can all embrace in some way. Meg Wheatley, who I have really come to respect in terms of her vision about how you do organizational change, how do you really, it's a very simple concept, and those of you that are in business in the room will certainly understand this, and all of you have probably read dozens of these books about organizations and 1-minute manager and all those kinds of things. And I read a lot of those too. What I love about Meg's concept is that it's very simple. The future that you want to be already exists in the organization. It's in there somewhere. And all you got to do is find it, and you got to illuminate it, you got to nurture it, and you got to bring together those pioneers in the organization into a community of practice and give them a push. So it's strategic, it's not random. You're picking the ones in the organization that are leading, that are really doing innovation, that are really showing how it should be done for the future. And by highlighting and illuminating and nurturing those individuals and their work, the rest of the organization follows. And so really this is all built around that under every one of these 36 actions, we know right now that there's innovation occurring. Whether you pick the healthy parks, healthy people, already we know parks are out there doing park prescriptions. We talk about healthy food. We know some of our concessioners are really all over this and really stepping up and providing extraordinarily healthy and locally grown and nutritious foods. We know that there's transportation programs getting kids into schools. There are just a wide range of these things already happening. And so by calling them out in this and creating the framework for these innovations to rise, you begin to move the organization in that direction and really sets the stage for us in the second century. So my vision for 2016 and beyond is really that the Park Service is one far more creative and innovative organization. And I say that with some caution because I actually think the Park Service already is a pretty innovative and creative organization, but not as creative and innovative as they could be, because it's more happening in pockets rather than as an organizational culture at that point. That it is an organization that is open to partnerships of all sorts with industry and our philanthropic friends and communities and the like, and that we're open to their input and we're open to working directly with them for common goals as well. And that we are, frankly, a force in this country for historic preservation, for conservation, for reconnecting children and all adults and parents back to nature. We are a major player in public education, that we have these extraordinary places that celebrate and sometimes tell the sad story of American history, but we have the real places, and by linking them to our public education system, we can elevate the public's understanding of what it means to be an American. And that we are an agency that is more resilient to the vagaries of politics and the ebb and flow of the appropriations as well. And we build, we are a perpetuity institution on an annual appropriation, and that is a problem. And so we hope to build a long-term endowment for the National Park Service that really gives us at least some buffer against the kind of challenges that we're already seeing. That we are a player on the international stage, that the role that protected areas play in everything from the provisions of ecosystem services, water, air, but also even to peace. There's a growing movement in the defense sector that environmental security is critical to providing peace as well. And protected areas are a critical role in that. And the world community looks to the National Park Service for leadership in that area, and I hear that over and over again as well. So, huge opportunity. I believe, and have always believed that good offense is the best defense. And in these times of turmoil at the world level, at the national stage level, the turmoil in economics, that the national park system and the broad park community, and that is both our state and local and city and regional park systems as well. Again, we all need to work together. We're all in this together. We have something to offer this country that is sometimes forgotten. That we could be an economic engine, we could be an engine for social change, we can help this country deal with issues such as climate change and the lack of understanding of our responsibilities both here in the country as Americans as well as on the world stage. So